What it is, everybody? Thanks for tuning back in here to another episode here on the Speedbug channel. I'm in the garage today. It's actually a little chilly here in Florida. For me, it's in the 70s, so a little chilly for us Floridians when you're always used to that 80. So I got my jacket on here in the garage. But we doing all right. But let's get on to the main course of this video. And why am I making this video? Well, my Ducati X Diavel is not in the garage. And it hasn't been in the garage now for about a week or so. And I've been kind of stagnating on taking the bike to Ducati because I had some family members and stuff visiting in town that they obviously wanted to see the bike and stuff like that. So I didn't want to absolutely have to take the bike in and it not be here because they hadn't seen the motorcycle and they really wanted to see that specific one. And of course, so happens of all of the bikes, that has to be the one that has to take a shit and break. But it didn't completely break. So I want to give you some background on this, and for the X Diavel followers, I know this video is actually going to be very useful to you all. So I made a video about some of the problems and would I buy the bike again, you know, with the key fob, the brakes and stuff like that. So I obviously went ahead and took the bike in to have the brakes checked out. So the bike is obviously not here. The rear brakes, for whatever reason, have gone out again. So this is now, again, the second time that it's gone back to have the brakes checked out. And I've also noticed a lot of other smaller things happening, such as the brake fluid leaking from the front clutch and the front brake reservoirs up top. Now, not excessively or anything like that, but the fluid is starting to come out. Now, you could say that was due to overfillage from the factory, whatever the case may be. I don't give a shit. It shouldn't be happening. And what's worse is because when brake fluid touches paint, it eats it. So as the brake fluid was starting to come out, it was starting to eat the paint, which I thought was powder coated, which obviously it's not, is paint around the reservoir caps and the reservoir containers themselves that are attached to the master cylinder on both sides. So the paint was starting to come off, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, it's just kind of like a triple and ripple effect here. I mean, give me a break. So, moving on, I also had them, again, check out the brakes. I said, look, do whatever it is that you have to do. Don't give it back until it's done. I said, also look at the key fob, see if there's any software updates for the bike, any software updates for the transponder or anything like that, since the bike has like 6 computers or some shit inside of it. I don't know. It has a lot. I don't know, but that's their problem. It's got a warranty and stuff like that. When it's out of warranty, then it's my problem. But for now, it's their problem. And I said, don't give it back until it's done. But what really pissed me off is that, and I know this has definitely, you know, been an issue, and I've known about this for a while, even when I first got it, is that when you beat on the bike, you know, get it in those high R's and keep it at those high R's for a long time, it obviously tends to have excessive crankcase pressure and oil leaks out of the breather. That I knew about, which I still think is bullshit, but whatever, it is what it is. But this is not the case actually with my bike as well. So it starts to continuously leak fluid, and I believe it's leaking actually from the engine case itself. Now, Ducati just likes to use a lot of silicone on all of its parts rather than use gaskets. Now, I know they use some gaskets, but they love to use silicone. And you can see where the case is actually partially silicone together. Now, whether there's a gasket in there or not, I'm not sure. But there's a lot of damn silicone on this motorcycle, and even my V4, 959, and Hypermotard. But not as much like there is on the X Diavel. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount, and I can't imagine why they wouldn't use gaskets like every other manufacturer and motorcycle would to seal up some type of area that's going to obviously have liquid run through it. I mean, you're going to have antifreeze or oil, you know, what's going on. Maybe a little bit of brake fluid here or there and stuff like that. But, I don't know. So, as I'm driving, and I'll just kind of, you know, go through the story so I don't have to, you know, bore all you guys. As I'm sitting there, you know, at the light, and I'm on my way home from work because I use that bike to commute a lot and back and forth to work. And it smells like oil, and I'm thinking, oh, it's probably some piece of shit car that's next to me. So I'm looking over, and, you know, nothing, okay? I didn't think anything of it. So I go to the next light, and I smell it again. I'm like, man, that's awfully strong. There's no way it's got to be a car. It's got to be me or what I'm on. So now I look down, and all of a sudden the entire muffler is caked in oil. Wherever it's leaking from somewhere in the engine, and it's definitely not the breather, but somewhere in the engine, and then obviously with the wind and you driving forward, all the oil gets splashed back onto the exhaust, because the exhaust cat and the muffler is obviously one big piece and part of the design of the motorcycle. So as the muffler and the cat right there are going to get extremely hot because it's one unit, then it's obviously going to start to create the burning smell and burn the oil, obviously, off the exhaust. So I'm like, okay, well, all right, now let me look for it when it comes back to the garage. So I see all the oil and shit obviously all over the exhaust. Now the oil filter itself is covered in oil. And I'm like, all right, is the oil filter loose? So obviously the first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and check it to see if it's loose. Maybe it came loose. Not loose. I go grab my tool to see how tight it is. Super tight. Maybe the drain plug's loose. Maybe the breather. I looked up and down because I meticulously go over my bikes almost after every time I ride them, just to be sure so I don't get into no shit or they don't leave me stranded. And I don't want to be in any shit. So I don't think anyone does, but I don't want to be in any of it. And it also is just good preventative maintenance. And I take large preventative measures to make sure that, hey, it's not like you're in a car, you can just get in a car and put the spare on and be on your way. When you got a flat tire on a bike, you're kind of SOL. You're calling a tow truck and that's pretty much it. So long story short, as I'm like, okay, the bike is running and stuff like that, I wiped it all down again to make sure that it wasn't leaking, and sure enough, it came back. And then there was a couple drips on my garage floor, and I'm just like, you know, this is annoying. And then of course you get in to go try and start the bike. It doesn't recommend it, doesn't retrieve the key transponder. So you have to start it by typing in the code and stuff like that. So finally I was just like, look, here Ducati, fix this. I've reached out to a lot of other X Diavel owners. Obviously we all know the key transponder decides to lose signal when it feels like it, and then sometimes it decides to pick up the key when it feels like it. Great feature. BMW has it working great. The Honda Goldwing has it working great. Come on, Ducati, get your shit together. We gotta, if you're watching this video, you know, get it together. Or just give me a conventional key like all of the other ones, and I guess we really wouldn't have that problem if you can't get the keyless ignition situation software worked out. So the bike is obviously there. It's been there for about a week now. They're going over it. I don't know what parts or anything they've ordered. I mean, it's not like I don't have another bike or anything to ride, but it's the sheer principle that the bike has been there now for the second time for this issue. And like I've mentioned before, I don't think it's a Ducati issue. It's a Brembo brake issue. But Brembo needs to be in contact and stuff with Ducati and have this handled, because not just the X Diavel, the X Diavel S, and other Diavels have had this issue too. So I know they have to know about it. So give you an update. Obviously when the bike comes back, I'll give it a good pedal feel. Obviously the mechanic and the service writer at Ducati Pompano, they've known and tested the bike, saw it. It didn't work well when it came in, and they know that it's actually been back there for a second time. So it's not the dealer's fault. They're doing whatever they can to help me, and I thank that dealer. They've been nothing but great to me about servicing my bikes, turning off my service lights and stuff like that. So again, thank you guys for everything, and let's just hope that the manufacturer itself, Ducati, will get their shit together so this doesn't happen to myself and any of the other X Diavel and Diavel owners out there. But that's going to wrap it up here for today's video, my little rant but update on my X Diavel. And I will make another video when I go pick that up, because when that bike gets picked up, the V4 I think is going to go in, because I actually haven't had any of the recalls and shit done on it since I've had it. And now it has 5, as you saw in one of my other videos. If you haven't, make sure you check that video out, because yes, the Ducati V4 has 5 recalls. So I didn't really give two shits or too much about the oil ring and stuff. I mean, not the oil ring, the O-ring and the gas tank. That really didn't bother me. But now that the oil cooler could leak and stuff like that and burst while I'm riding, I mean, come on, like that. Now that might be a little serious. So I'll let them fix it, do what they got to do, and who knows when that'll come back. But yeah, so that's that. But that's it. Gonna wrap it up here for today's video. If you guys like what you saw, Again, don't forget to subscribe. Facebook, Instagram, at the Speedbug, same name here as YouTube. Smash the like button if you thought this was informative, and we will see you here for another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Deuces.